Hi, my name is Amos Hayes. I'm with the Geomatics and Cartographic Research Centre at Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada. And I'm going to be doing a quick fly-through of our Nunalite framework and how we use it to enhance the interoperability of Indigenous and local knowledge with more traditional data systems. So Nunalite's strengths are really around its ability to handle and link and connect all sorts of qualitative and quantitative data and present it in interactive ways in multiple different renderings, and its ability to look after things in a distributed fashion with the various knowledge holders able to manage and maintain their knowledge close to home. Nunalite's information is available on the Nunalite website, nunalite.org, and the source code and the documentation for getting started with it are in GitHub. The GCRC maintains a list of Atlas projects that are publicly available, accessible, and for which we've had a part in. There are others, but this is a good place to start if you want to see some Nunalite in use. One such example is the inuitplaces.org atlas, where Inuit elders have provided rich information about Inuit place names in the Arctic, and in particular have focused on the names, their correct pronunciation, and the meaning behind it, and the uses of those places, and their importance to the communities. In there are not only places, but spoken forms of the place names, as well as interviews with elders about the places, and some photospheres, photographs, videos, artwork, and that sort of thing. So quite a rich collection of information about place names in the Arctic. This type of information is typically collected through work with elders, youth, and others in the community who are collecting and working to digitize this information, and in this case directly into a Nunalite atlas for safekeeping. Nunalite is also used for visualization, in this case with language terminology related to sea ice, freeze and thaw cycle, and in this case with the community of Cape Dorset. This was an international polar year project. The Inuktitut Lexicon Atlas focuses on language, and this is an example of Nunalite rendering documents in its system as rows in a classic sort of table view, although Nunalite is document-oriented, and so it can render things in all kinds of ways. This is an example of a digital return project, in this case with the National Museum of Denmark's information about an expedition in the Arctic, and the Kitikmeot Heritage Society making that collection more accessible and also collecting the Inuit side of that story. Here's the Kitikmeot Heritage Society's center in Cambridge Bay in Nunavut, and it is an example of a installed touchscreen accessing atlases, and those atlases are actually hosted locally to both improve performance and have some possession and control over the information that's being stored and how it's used and shared. The government of Nunavut uses Nunalite for its coastal resource inventory project, both for storing and maintaining the authoritative copy of the data, but also for making it available publicly in a soon-to-be released atlas, but also through partnerships with other community projects and atlases. For example, the community of Clyde River, which maintains its own Nunalite-based atlas and has their section of the Coastal Resource Inventory database that they manage and maintain, and in fact augment and enhance with new information as well as additional multimedia. The community of Joe Haven in Nunavut is using the same kind of Nunalite implementation for sorting out possible locations for a sustainable fishery, as well as evaluating the economics of this through a harvest study And the harvest study is being carried out with the assistance of devices paired with their Nunalate Atlas, which report locations of hunters as they travel in near real time, and any observations of species, any reports of harvesting from the land, and it's also an important safety device for the hunters. And this information is made available through their atlas, but also on a screen in the community's hunters and trappers office, where people can keep an eye on what's going on out in the land with the hunters who are out there. Communities want to retain control over the information and how it's used, and Nunalita's provides those types of options. And in this case, a prototype interface is shown for communities making a decision about neighboring communities and other atlases being able to make use of, or perhaps just help them preserve copies of important information. And so for a metadata point of view and to participate in the broader data community, there is some interest to optionally provide metadata that would enable sort of basic discovery level use, and in this case for both atlases and specific modules within an atlas, metadata can be created and Nunalate will serve it up as schema.org compliant JSON LD within the index.html files, as well as creating sitemaps and robot.txt files sort of on the fly as people might make adjustments to these forms. And here's an example of Google Dataset search finding the InuitPlaces.org atlas based on metadata provided in the atlas. And we've also been working to have schema.org metadata, such as that provided from within Nunalate, be something that can be ingested by more classic data catalogs that might use something like catalog services for the web. So we've been working with the open source Gleaner Harvester and doing a mediation from what it's harvested in schema.org to serving out using PyCSW in an ISO metadata format to enable participation in those catalogs. And Nunalate is used by numerous projects and partners for, in this case, the map is specifically for local and traditional knowledge globally, and as partners build their capacity and begin to use Nunalate for multiple projects, they might take on hosting instances and nodes themselves. In other cases, they can turn to a data center that does that work for them and hosts on their behalf, such as the GCRC or the LOCA project of the National Snow and Ice Data Center in the US, as well as some others internationally. This is how it can be reached. Thank you very much, and please do get in touch if you have any questions or thoughts. Thank you.